This is All Talk with Tom Jordan and Kevin Deitz on 760 WJR.
Figured this might happen, a couple months ago or so. I said, along with Kevin, that abortion will be, if not the top issue in this.
I said it first.
You said it first? Was it you? I remember it differently. But we were both talking about it, and it turns out for a lot of Michiganders, it is absolutely the number one issue for them, the issue of abortion when it comes to the race for governor in Michigan. And I thought the economy was the most impactful issue, of course, but Whitmer was going to bring abortion to the top, and she has. The governor's race, I think, is very interesting. Tons of ads from Whitmer that we've already seen. She's got millions of dollars to spend, and she is spending. Tudor Dixon, the governor candidate for the GOP, she's been outspoken about her pro-life views, but Tudor Dixon is also focused on what I believe is at the top of the concerns, the most day-to-day impact for most Michiganders, the continued effects of Whitmer's lockdowns, including massive learning loss for students, sky-high inflation, and mental health, Kevin, addiction problems. So what's the biggest issue for Michiganders right now? Well, this new poll that we've been going over really breaks it down.
Yeah, Tom, this governor's race should really be about inflation, school and business lockdowns, emergency powers, parents' access to their kids' curriculum. It's not. So far, it's about abortion and Donald Trump. When it comes to Tudor Dixon, people know two things. Donald Trump endorsed her, and she is for no exceptions to abortion except to save the life of the mother. And neither of those distinctions seem to be helping her right now in the polls in the general election against Gretchen Whitmer. Joining us now is David Dulio, political science professor at Oakland University. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, guys. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you being here. Looking at this poll, looking at these numbers, why do you think Republicans and Tudor Dixon have not been able to make gains on Gretchen Whitmer? Are more people interested in keeping a woman's access to abortion than the economy?
I think this is an easy question to answer, guys. The issue of abortion has taken precedence over the other ones that you've mentioned because that's what Gretchen Whitmer's campaign and her allies are focusing on. And it is almost unanswered by messaging from the Dixon campaign and her allies because of that huge funding disparity that you mentioned. It is a really simple calculation for the Whitmer campaign to say, okay, abortion is a top-of-mind issue for many. It is one that we have a comparative advantage on over our opponent. We are simply going to hammer away at that day after day after day, and you're seeing that impact in the poll that you're talking about.
Yeah, as of August 22nd, Gretchen Whitmer reported having $14 million available in her campaign account, 26 times the total disclosed by Dixon, which is $523,000. But if Tudor Dixon had unlimited money, what message might work for her? Could she change her message on abortion and say, well, this is my stance. I believe that abortion should only be allowed to save the mother's life. I will still sign whatever the legislature delivers to my desk.
She could try, but I think that especially where we're at right now, the Whitmer campaign has defined Tudor Dixon. And they have done that with the messaging and ads that have been, as I mentioned, just being hammered away day after day for the last month or so. I think if Dixon had unlimited money, or at least money that could make her get her up to the Whitmer level, she would hit those issues that you mentioned before: economy, jobs, inflation, gas prices. She would try to tie the governor to President Biden. But in the absence of funds available, she simply can't do it.
Yeah, it comes down to money. I've never really seen such a dramatic shift in positioning for Gretchen Whitmer. She was lockstep and very proud of Joe Biden as president of this country. But the election year came, polling shifted on Biden. He's very unpopular. And she suddenly stops really talking about him, stops talking about her COVID mandates, stops talking about vaccines, and now it's really one issue, abortion. She's really locked in on that. Is that the only winning issue for her? In other words, if Tudor Dixon shifted it to something else, is it too late in the game for that to do enough damage on the Whitmer campaign?
Not necessarily is that the only issue that she could, that the Whitmer campaign could be successful on, but It's the most effective right now in the absence of any answer from the Dixon campaign. I think that she could try to talk about other issues, and some of the ads that she has up are mention that sort of thing, or other things like roads and no increase in taxes. And those kinds of things, but that is just such a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of messaging that's coming on the abortion issue.
Yeah, it's amazing too when you look at gender. Tudor Dixon leads Whitmer with the male voters, just barely, but not so with female voters. Do you see the outcome really being a result of which gender has more people showing up to the polls?
Well, we usually see a gender gap in election results between Democrats and Republicans, where the Democratic candidate generally gets a higher portion of the female vote. So that's not terribly surprising. It may be widening here, again, simply because of this issue that the Whitmer campaign is focusing on. And, I think the poll is probably pretty accurate. I think, you're likely to see this continue for the next 9 weeks until Election Day, unless we see, money come in for the Dixon campaign, or money come in from outside groups, whether it be the Republican Party or super PACs, to try and bolster the Dixon messaging.
As we look at this, it says 60% are in favor of the Michigan Right to Reproduction Act that Gretchen Whitmer supports, but also the majority favor parental consent. We also know that the majority of people are not for abortions in the third term, with this Michigan Right to Reproduction Act will allow. Is there not any right to life money out there to explain that this is what Tudor Dixon is for, but this is what Gretchen Whitmer is for, and what Gretchen Whitmer is for is very extreme?
I would be surprised if we didn't see the right to life money come in, at least at some level. I think the right to life message on this would be, hey, look, folks, we've been trying to get Roe versus Wade declared unconstitutional for 50 years. We finally did it, but if we let this ballot initiative pass, it's all for naught. I think that you make a really good point about the subtleties of this issue and of this ballot initiative, right? I mean, it is being portrayed, and understandably so, in a yes or no, abortion or not way, but there are sort of different slices of it that are important for folks to know about. They should really go read the ballot initiative language if it is in fact on the ballot, which we'll find out, I think, in the next couple days.
Right.
But they should go read that language and see for themselves what's in it.
Yeah, I think that decision comes down tomorrow, Friday the 9th. One quick question. Tudor Dixon strategist said that Whitmer's $10 million in attack ads trying to change the subject, meaning to abortion, he says it's run their course, that her best days are behind her, speaking of Whitmer, on the campaign trail, because soon she's going to have to answer for her failures on roads, jobs, schools, and crime. Is that true, do you think, that the focus on abortion is going to shift to the economy and to the schools?
Not if it's up to the Whitmer campaign.
Yeah.
And again, the way that they have to do it is getting out there with ads. If the Tudor Dixon campaign can convince Gretchen Whitmer to have a debate, I think that's where you could see that potentially shift. But in the absence of any answer, it's the Whitmer campaign seemingly dominating things right now.
Yeah, as you said earlier, they have done an effective job at defining who Tudor Dixon is from their perspective, and it seems to be working on their part. Dave Giulio, political science professor at Oakland University. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
All right, have a good one. Your call's up next, 800-859